Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. People understand me so poorly that they don't even understand my complaint about them not understanding me. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. What labels me, negates me. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. In addition to my other numerous acquaintances, I have one more intimate confidant. My depression is the most faithful mistress I have known. No wonder, then, that I return the love. What if everything in the world were a misunderstanding? What if laughter were really tears? To dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. The tyrant dies and his rule is over. The martyr dies and his rule begins. To venture causes anxiety, but not to venture is to lose oneself. And to venture in the highest is precisely to be conscious of oneself. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. God creates out of nothing. Wonderful, you say? Yes, to be sure, but He does what is still more wonderful. He makes saints out of sinners. To cheat oneself out of love is the most terrible deception. It is an eternal loss for which there is no reparation, either in time or in eternity. If anyone on the verge of action should judge himself according to the outcome, he would never begin. The proud person always wants to do the right thing, the great thing. But because he wants to do it in his own strength, he is fighting not with man, but with God. Many of us pursue pleasure with such breathless haste that we hurry past it. The highest and most beautiful things in life are not to be heard about, nor read about, nor seen, but, if one will, are to be lived. It is perhaps the misfortune of my life that I am interested in far too much but not decisively in any one thing. All my interests are not subordinated in one but stand on an equal footing. It is so hard to believe because it is so hard to obey. Boredom is the root of all evil, the despairing refusal to be oneself. It is impossible to exist without passion. There is nothing with which every man is so afraid as getting to know how enormously much he is capable of doing and becoming. How absurd men are! They never use the liberties they have, they demand those they do not have. They have freedom of thought, they demand freedom of speech. It is the duty of the human understanding to understand that there are things which it cannot understand. The self-assured believer is a greater sinner in the eyes of God than the troubled disbeliever. I feel as if I were a piece in a game of chess, when my opponent says of it, that piece cannot be moved. Leap of faith, yes, but only after reflection. Happiness is the greatest hiding place for despair. On the secretly blushing cheek is reflected the glow of the heart. My sorrow is my castle. I stick my finger into existence, and it smells of nothing.